Hello dear listener, please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy watching. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who would sit here, writing this. I never thought I'd find myself trying to make sense of the hell my life became after I discovered that the woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with, was nothing more than a stranger to me. Betrayal isn't a word you understand until it happens to you. It's not something you can prepare for. Not something you can brace yourself for, no matter how much you try. I'm not here to tell you how great we were together. Laura and I had it all. Or so I thought. We had the house, the nice cars, the vacations to places like the Maldives and Paris, things most people only dream of. She was beautiful, intelligent, charming, and above all, she was the woman I thought I could trust with everything. She was my best friend, my confidant, the one person I thought would always be by my side. That was until Bradley. Bradley was an old friend. I met him years ago when I was in college. He was that guy everyone liked at first, funny, the life of the party. I never knew that he was the type of person to manipulate, to lie, to scheme. But then, after our college years, we drifted apart, as people tend to do. When I first heard his name again from Laura's lips, I didn't think much of it. Bradley's in town, she said one evening over dinner. We should all grab dinner tomorrow night. It'll be good to catch up. It seemed harmless. In fact, I was happy for her to reconnect with an old friend. But over the next few months, I started noticing little things, little changes that didn't quite add up. Laura was more distracted than usual. She'd slip into her phone during dinner, texting with someone under the table. She'd pull away when I tried to hold her hand or kiss her. But I wasn't the suspicious type. I trusted her. God, I trusted her. Then one night, everything changed. I was working late, and I hadn't heard from her all evening. She was supposed to be home by 8, but by 9, she still wasn't back. The feeling in my gut was wrong. It wasn't just the empty space in the bed when I got home, or the fact that her car wasn't in the driveway. It was the growing anxiety that something was off. Something didn't feel right. So, I did something I never thought I would. I pulled up her phone records. Just a peek. A simple check. That's all I told myself. What I found wasn't just a little flirtation. It wasn't innocent. It was an affair. Bradley's name, again, and again, and again. Late-night texts. Calls at all hours. Plans to meet in places she'd never told me about. And then the confirmation, the heart-stopping moment when I saw the pictures. There was no mistaking it. Laura and Bradley had been sleeping together for months. The truth hit me like a freight train. I had to stop myself from collapsing. I felt sick, sick to my core. It wasn't just the affair that shattered me. It was the deceit, the way she looked me in the eye every day, every night, while plotting behind my back. I stood there, staring at the phone, feeling my blood boil. But I didn't act right away. No. I let the fury simmer. I let the realization settle into my bones. And that was the beginning of the end. I had to play it smart. I couldn't just confront her, not yet. That would have been too easy. I had something better planned. Something far more satisfying. I started small. I made sure to let her think I was clueless, broken, lost in my grief. I didn't confront her the next morning, or the day after that. I waited. I played the part of the devastated husband, the man who would forgive her, the man who didn't know what was going on. But I knew everything. Every night, while she slept beside me, I'd watch her with new eyes. I'd watch her pull the covers over her head, pretending to be innocent. I knew she was thinking about him, not me. I could feel it. The distance was palpable. And then I began my revenge. I started with Bradley. I remembered how much he liked to brag back in the day, his love for high-stakes gambling, his questionable business ventures. It didn't take long to dig up his dirty secrets. I found a few key people who had been burned by him in the past, friends he'd conned, business partners he'd screwed over. I got in touch with one of them, a guy named Rick who had been a victim of Bradley's shady dealings years ago. Rick was bitter. Angry. He had the perfect motive to take Bradley down. I fed him the right information, pointed him in the right direction, and watched as Rick began to unravel Bradley's life. I planted seeds in Laura's mind. It was easy, she was so guilt-ridden, so consumed by her lies, that she was practically begging for an excuse to distance herself from him. I told her I was concerned about Bradley's financial situation, that I'd overheard him talking about money troubles. She didn't question it. Not once. She'd already started to doubt him, and I gave her the final push. But I wasn't done. I arranged a dinner. Just the three of us. I made it seem like I had finally forgiven them both. I played the role of the kind, magnanimous husband, the man who was willing to move past their betrayal. But inside, I was planning their destruction. When they arrived at the restaurant, I could see the tension in Laura's eyes. She knew something was off. She didn't trust me anymore, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. Bradley was more confident than ever, as if he thought he was in control. I had already arranged for Rick to be there. And when Bradley stepped away to take a call, Rick followed him. That was when things went south for Bradley. By the time I caught up with him, he was surrounded by two of Rick's associates. They didn't hesitate. A few threats, a few broken bones later, Bradley was left with no choice but to agree to what I'd planned. But Laura didn't know what was coming. I sat her down later that night, after Bradley had been dealt with. The truth came out in the most unexpected way. I pulled out the photos, of her and Bradley. I showed her the text messages, the lies, the deceit. But that wasn't the final nail in her coffin. No. I had one more thing to show her. I slid a file across the table. It was a fake report I'd had made up, a financial document showing that Bradley had been laundering money through his various business dealings. I'd planted the seed earlier about his financial troubles, and now, I was presenting the proof. The final step. You're going to lose everything, I told her, my voice cold, steady. I've already made sure of it. Her face went pale. She started shaking her head, pleading with me. She thought I was bluffing. She thought I had no power. But she was wrong. The next day, I handed the information over to the authorities. They moved in quickly, arresting Bradley on charges of fraud, money laundering, and a whole host of other crimes I'd helped uncover. But the real twist came when they raided his house. Inside, they found the documents I had planted. But more importantly, they found something else. Something far more incriminating. Laura's fingerprints were all over everything. Turns out, she wasn't just complicit in the affair. She had been helping Bradley run his illegal operations. She was in deeper than I had ever imagined. And as the news broke, as Bradley was carted away in handcuffs and Laura's world came crashing down, I watched from the sidelines. The woman I had loved, the woman I had given everything to, was left with nothing. She had lost her wealth, her reputation, and her freedom, all because of her own betrayal. As for me, I walked away from the wreckage. I was finally free. I don't know if I'll ever love again. I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust again. But one thing I do know is this: there is no sweeter revenge than watching the person who broke you crumble under the weight of their own lies. If you leave a comment, tell us what you think about the story you heard. It's important to us and will help us find and tell stories that you find interesting. Thank you for watching us.